Hi, are you heroes, villains, and innocent bystanders? Welcome to another episode of a Angel and Her Unicorn comic book reviews. With me, I am Alan, the unicorn, and I have
James,
JD. And we also have Jenny with us as usual. Hopefully she'll grace us with a good show. Put her crooked. If we get her to stay.
Well, I was trying.
So James adjusts Jenny, which I bet you did. Yeah, just the Jenny. So we will be spoiling the week's books. So if you haven't read them, make sure you pause the video, read your books, and then come back and take a look. Or if you want spoilers, then please feel free to continue on with the video. Eventually, I'll have the descriptions and times below to if you just want to skip. That way you don't have to hear us ramble. But I have to say our rambling is pretty amazing on a regular basis. So without further ado, who went first last time? Do you remember? I know I've slept since then.
It's your turn.
Yeah, you want to go first? I think I am. I don't even know. You have yours. I'll let you go first since you have yours.
This week I've got two that I've reviewed before. It's the next issue that's out, and then one new book. The first one I'll do is Exorsisters 3.
Mm-hmm.
It is by Ian Boothby and Giselle Lagacé. If I'm butchering that, I apologize.
At all times, I feel so horrible.
I again enjoyed this book. This one, it felt like they're getting into the meat and potatoes of what the book's going to be about.
Yeah.
In earlier ones, you met a girl and her sister. You eventually find out that it's not her sister, that her mother sold her daughter's soul to save her own. The daughter eventually, which happened off screen, we haven't seen this yet, but this daughter won her soul back, but by the time she did, she had changed so much the soul no longer fit in her body, and so has become a standalone character that she passes off as her sister. In this book, you get the first inkling of who her mother is sold her soul to,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the girl's former boyfriend comes back, only now he's been transformed into a fly, and
so it goes a little more in depth about what they try to save an innocent, which they kind of make that a little like a Law and Order episode, which I thought was kind of funny. And then it goes into she finds her ex-boyfriend who has become that fly, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah. But then it goes into more, which lends itself to going more into her history of how she got her soul back and stuff like that.
So it's kind of a flashback. She was talking to various occult groups, trying to get knowledge of how to get her soul back. Most of the people she met were, and we cook muffins on Thursday.
Yeah, yeah.
And
do you need an emo pillow?
Yeah. So she finally found one group, and they tricked her, and they were going to sacrifice her soul for wealth and power. And when the demon got to her, he's like, "Well, you don't have a soul." And
jumps on you, buddy.
And then so she turned the tables and fed all of the people that were going to sacrifice her to this demon, and
who turned them all into flies.
Right. And then when you jump back to modern times, the flies say, "Well, the demon that we served is dead," and she's like, "Well, you can't kill a demon." They said, "Well, something can, and it's coming." Dun dun dun.
Because it's like an upper level demon, yeah.
Well,
so
it wasn't the first darkness.
Dun dun, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of dun 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 duns.
So
what'd you? So you?
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
It's fun, but there's an undertone of seriousness. It's maybe
it almost like pokes fun at itself.
It's like
too.
one notch less serious than like Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Right.
which never took itself that seriously.
Right.
But I like that.
But then, I mean, like, it also deals with kind of like this, what would be a more serious nature or a subject, like, you know, that kind of dark, gritty demons and underworld thing.
And then if you want to get to allegory, you know, the first love betraying you because he said he wanted one thing and he really only wanted another. You know what we're talking about. It's your cookies.
It's your
but
chocolate chip can.
So anyway, that
what
was
do you
my
think of the
first
art?
book.
Are you still?
I love the art. I've liked her for years, and I still
So
continue.
she's definitely got like a more archy style, which I think we talked about last time, which I think actually even lends itself to the tone of the book and make like her expressions. Are really good.
It lightens it up enough where it's not. The other book that I'm going to review is also supernatural, but it's very dark and gritty art, and it definitely alters the tone.
I don't disagree, but even with the language and the dialogue that they use, is very much a golly gee Willikers kind of thing, but it's not, and so I think that's what I like about the art was the fact that it is kind of like a wholesome art, but then they have like these demons and like they're smashing guts all over the place, and they're, you know, they kind of show a little bit of pseudo nudity, and it's kind of still kind of cheeky and funny.
They kill a demon, and the next scene the one gal's taking a shower, and she's like, "You just cannot get demon bile out of your hair
ever." So yeah, I think it's really good. It's definitely a fun book. It's not. I don't think. I would even venture to say like maybe a younger reader would enjoy it. Like a tween reader would be kind of fun. Also, like I think some of the older people would like it. Magic people. I think it appeals to a lot of different audiences. I think it's well written, well drawn. So, what would you rate it?
I give it 4.5 stars.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I'd probably give it a 4 unicorn horn, almost a 5. I look forward to it. I'm definitely I've been look forward to each issue, and each issue I've enjoyed. Yeah. So hopefully it continues that way. We'll see. Because that is one thing that I worry about with some of the subject that they've already approached. I feel like they're kind of like blowing their wad early, because it's like
I don't see that, because there's always somebody bigger and badder around the corner.
It is true.
I mean, 10 seasons of Supernatural have proved
God,
that.
I don't talk about that. That's a different show. Completely different show for the
more
hatred
anger,
for Supernatural.
A few cuss words.
Yes. Lots of stomping.
Some rending of garments, some gnashing of teeth, some sackcloth, a few ashes.
Exactly. Lots of burning of things. But okay, so
table flip or two.
I am actually gonna do a little bit differently this time. Last show I talked about with Kelly that I might, since the scheduling of the comic books come out a little weird this next couple weeks, I may review some of the older ones and some of the newer ones kind of together.
Sasquatch Detective.
It wasn't that good. Did you read it?
No.
Oh God!
I just wanted to say Sasquatch Detective.
So Sasquatch Detective from DC.
It's about as good as you'd think.
Yeah,
it'd be.
it's pretty much in the title. You got everything there for a minute. It was okay. So the one I want to do is Outer Darkness. So this is issue 2, and it came out last week. The same artist that did it was he did the series with Iron Fist, where Iron Fist had the little girl. He was training the younger Iron Fist, and it's a very interesting art. But I'll get to that in a minute. The writer and the creator is John Layman, and then the artist is Afu-chan. I hope God I said that right. I'm so sorry if I butchered it. I am so sorry. We really do love you people, so I hope if anybody ever sees these, out of the 17 people that we have for subscribers, if anybody ever sees these and they know how to pronounce these names, please put pronunciations into the comments, because I would love to get them right, because I hate when people mispronounce names. So I'm so sorry.
And if any of the actual artists write these, we're available for consultations.
Exactly. We will gladly tell you what we think if you want to set it just before the Return of the Republic. So this one, this Out of Darkness, is a Star Trek kind of book, but the spin on it is it's not. Have you read this?
No.
So the spin on it is it's not. It's Star Trek's because they're in space, but everything's like powered by like mysticism. So like their engine is an actual god. Like they've trapped this god and they have to sacrifice one of the prisoners and from their ship. When the first issue they like bring in the people we're gonna sacrifice, and there's these 3 prisoners, and he goes through and the captain's like, which one do I sacrifice you? To sacrifice you? And he sacrifices his guide for his engine to work. So he sacrifices his actual guide for his god engine to work. So it's really neat.
Okay.
And like they go through and they find all these ghosts, and people get the captain of the ship is in the first book there a lot of stuff happens to how he becomes the captain. Well, in this book he's already captain, and he is kind of getting his crew in order.
Which issue is this?
This is issue 2.
Okay.
So it's not very hard to catch up on. But it is so he has this crew laid out, and they're all like in their little meeting room, and he's talking to this kind of head of security, and he apparently has a thing with cats too. He doesn't like cats. So he I'm trying to find his first officer. His first officer, Alistair Stallis is his first officer, and he goes, what's your report? And so he's telling him like, oh, well, we did these exercises. He's like, I don't want to hear about the exercises. He goes, give me your report. And he's like, well, I can't give you a report. It's all about this. And he's like, okay, well, he goes, well, how are we going to do this? And he goes, well, I've got all these training exercises ready. And he goes, too late. I've already steered us into like this like hell-infested planetoid. And he's like, they're like, what? You took us to this one place? And it's like, so all these demons start possessing the ship. And he's like, I believe in like figuring out how things work, how my team works in like live action. So he like throws them into this like possession thing, and so
throw them in the deep end.
Yeah,
if they're meant to learn how to swim,
exactly.
They will.
So like they're like, what? And so like all the officers are running out, and like he has this one officer that's like on this armor, and she gets all her people ready. The head exorcist gets through all his exorcism people ready, and they're just going through the ship like trying to survive this thing, and because the ship's already starting to show like signs of possession, and so the whole book is just them trying to survive this ordeal. And then they finally get out of it, and they like get us the hell out of here, and the captain's kind of like, well, you guys did pretty good. Okay. And then that's the end of it. So it's like they find out that they're supposed to go on this. There's also like this little side where they're supposed to go on this mission, but he's like, as soon as I know the mission parameters, I'll tell you. He goes, because I don't believe in going in blind. And then his advisor lady's like, you can't tell them that it's classified. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell you everything that I know because I don't like that. And he goes, I don't like, I wouldn't want to follow blind orders, so I don't expect my crew to. So it's kind of this interesting
after he
stuff.
took them into the hell dimension without announcing.
No, this is before.
Okay.
Yeah, this is before. So then that's why he goes, oh, and by the way, it's like, I shoved you into the hell dimension. We're going to have to get out of here. So it's really, the art's really fun. The action is kind of interesting. The characters are really neat. Even though they're just establishing them, like I really enjoy not only the story, because it has some fun dialogue and interesting kind of like I love Star Trek stuff anyways, or space stuff. I love space stuff, and so this one's kind of fun. And I really liked this artist, the Afu-chan, because I read his whole thing with Iron Fist. I can see where people wouldn't like the art, particularly because it's very almost like anime action kind of art, but his panels are just so good. His exorcist, where he's like trying to exorcise a demon, it's just so dynamic, and but yet it's kind of cartoony and interesting. So I really have to say, like, I've enjoyed the book so far, and I'm really looking forward to issue 3, because it is kind of an interesting twist on things with all the exorcism demons and stuff like that. So I really like it. I give it a 5 out of 5 unicorn horns. I've really enjoyed it.
I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah, I think you definitely should try it out. Unless, again, like space, if you're a big space, Star Trek, Star Wars kind of fan, it's got the very spacey themes, like they got ships and stuff like that. If you're like a magic person, very much that side of the demonic possession. And like it's funny because he has one character that's like this old crotchety oracle lady, and she has this cat, and he's like, "Don't bring the cat in there. I don't want that cat in here." And she's like, "Meh." She gets all like kind of grumpy, and she goes, "It's my familiar." And he's like, "I don't care." And so she's like got this like funny old face. She's I feel like that's gonna be me in a couple years, like petting my familiar cat. So I really liked it. I think it's kind of a fun one. So if you get a chance, check it out, because I'd love to hear what other people think about it. All right.
My next book is Cold Spots. This is issue number 5. It's by Cullen Bunn and Mark Torres. It's another supernatural book.
But I think you reviewed
yes.
this before.
It's a little girl that's different, but the spirits are drawn to her. Her grandfather was wanting to use her for nefarious things, and her mother took her away, and met some people that were helping her, and then in the last book we found out they weren't helping her. They were using her for their own nefarious things. And had the daughter raise some old spirit.
And this is the one with the island, wasn't it? Where the guy goes to the island.
So in this one, the old spirit's been raised, and the father and mother are trying to talk the girl out of helping, and then talk the older couple into letting them go. They're starting to make a break for it, and the spirit pronounces, you know, I have the power here, and the little girl who's never spoken before is like, no, I have the power here. And she's like, you
got the touch. You got the power.
So, you find out she's a lot more powerful than you thought. And so as they're leaving, one of the spirits touches her mother, and she turns to ice, and then they shatter her. So mom's dead, and dad's trying to dad gets her away, and then in the last panel you find that the evil old man merged with the old spirit. So
he's probably gonna battle her.
Yes.
Try to for the power.
So
that was one that I thought was interesting, but I just never. It's not my thing.
It's dark. Again with the artwork, very much. It's a much darker tone.
Right. A lot more gritty, almost a sketchy kind of. Everybody looks
it's
very gaunt.
It's a little hard at times to figure out what's going on. The last scene with the ancient evil and the evil old man merging together, they drew it so it was obvious what happened. They didn't have to spell it out. So I liked it. I'd probably give it a 3-ish.
Yeah, you've kept it for 5 issues, so it seems like it's got to keep your attention a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I'm gonna do Catwoman. I'm gonna do Catwoman number 6. This is like the last few what's the word I'm looking for? This is like the last of the storyline. And then as Joel Jones, I think, is doing the art, and I can't remember who the writer is. I know Laura Allred's doing the colors. I think Jones is doing the writing and the art, but I'll have to look here in just a minute when I get there. But I picked this one up because it was one that Jenny read really religiously. She loved Catwoman, and she loved Joel Jones was one of her big ones. So I kind of picked it up in homage to kind of see how things went, because I feel like I need to finish it for her. So I don't hate it. I don't think I have the history as much of it as back. I don't know what's happened so far. I know like little bits that Jenny used to tell me, but I don't know. So a little bit of it I'm a little confused, but not because it's confusing. It's because I don't have the back issues that I need to read. So I think if I read the rest of them, I think I would catch on a lot better with some of the stuff the intricacies that are happening. But in this particular issue, I really liked it because she's going after the governor, who's the lady that kind of has her. She's kind of been taking this drug, but she's going after her, and I'm not quite sure why, though. That's the thing, is like I get a little confused as to why she's after this governor lady. But apparently this is a big thing. And the lady gives her son some of this drug that kind of makes his skin hard or makes him kind of crazy. And so it's just her fighting through this house, and she gets through the house, which, by the way, Joel Jones' art in this, I know I'm not, normally I take the plot and the art, but like, man, she can draw some action scenes, and just some of the stuff in here is just like, so pretty.
I met her at a con in Chicago, and
yeah,
I'm single. If you're watching this, Joelle, just saying.
I mean, it's just impressive. Her and Nicola Scott. Nicola Scott's amazing female artist too, and man, they're just so talented. It is really neat to see how the dynamic, because I feel like some artists
are all of hers 2-page splashes.
In this particular issue, they weren't in the other issues, so these ones are kind of.
It's a very striking look.
Yes, the very neat panels. But she comes in. She kind of finally fights her way to the governor. The governor is like trying to kill her, but the son tries to stop her. She kills her. She kills the son by accident. Kind of drives her crazy. And then it's back to Selena with her sister, saving her sister, or trying to save her sister. She tells her she's going to move her, and then they. That's the end of it. It's the end of the issue. So Joel Jones does do the story and the art, and then Laura Allred's the colors. Which that also, Laura Allred is another amazing, like even when she does her husband stuff, it's just amazing. But like with this, man, the coloring just pops, and I think that's one thing that's hard to do with comic books, is making those blacks, the black and the whites. And she does so well with some of the highlights on her costuming, making it almost like a purplish hues. I mean, it's just all around a beautiful book. And the story is pretty fun. Now, I like this issue a little bit more than the other issues, just because it is a little more actiony for me. So I thought that was kind of fun. But it does make me want to go back and read, so I can understand what the heck's going on. I'm like I'm so confused about some of these things. So I really need to go back and read everything. But this issue as a whole, I thought was pretty solid. I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this. I hope they actually bring back her sister in a little bit more, because I'd like to see the past couple of issues that Jenny reviewed, and then I actually got to read a little bit. They did some stuff with her and her sister, kind of the dynamic between them when they were younger.
Have they rebooted her sister from back when the
Black Mask?
She was in Black Mask and the Gotham City Sirens and all the awful things.
No, they did not. They actually brought that was all kind of like why she's still crazy. She's kind of seen her husband, like the Black Mask killed her husband in front of her, and like I think and made her eat him or something like that.
Made her eat his eyeballs.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah. And so that'd mess somebody up. And there's a lot of stuff about her, like when she was the nun and all that kind of stuff. So they do, and they kept that. They kept that, and so she's kind of in this loony bin. But she kind of, at the end, she kind of smiles, which I thought was really sweet. Like, see, like her Joelle Jones' expressions are just amazing. Like she just has this like little smile, but I love that because she's like, you know, she's so catatonic, and then all of a sudden she goes and she has this little happiness smile, which I think was kind of nice.
Or it could be a sinister smile.
This is true.
And you find out, oh,
don't ruin my land of hope, James. Don't be a hope sucker. That's what she said. But yeah, I really enjoyed the art. The story's pretty amazing. If you're a Catwoman fan, definitely, it's a really good book. If you are not a Catwoman fan, if you're a strong female character fan, it's a good book. Even though it is kind of superhero-esque, it's not really, like, it's more anti-hero, I think, than anything. With Catwoman, she does kind of tend to be more of the villainous side with for good reasons. So I really liked it. I would probably give it a 4 out of 5 unicorn horns. But I do need to go back and read and figure out what's going on, because I do get a little confused. So yeah, it's a good book.
Good.
If you're not picking it up, you might want to try it out. Not this issue though. You need to go back a couple issues. Maybe you can figure out what's going on that I don't know. All right, last book.
My last book is Freedom Fighters #1 by Robert Venditti and Eddie Barrows. DC has done Freedom Fighters off and on since people were fighting actual Nazis.
Yes.
It's this one's set in an alternate Earth where the Nazis won World War II. They've got some of the same characters. The book starts in 1963. There's a resistance forming with some of the classic freedom fighter characters have been the Human Bomb, Doll Man, Black Condor.
I think that was it. And they kind of alluded that Phantom Girl...
The Ray and Phantom Girl had died somehow. I don't know if this happened in another book or if it was just here's where we are.
Yeah, I think that's where they were kind of like playing a little catch up with it, is what I got the feel
of. And they're plotting, and they're working with Jesse Owens, who is a huge figure of the resistance, since he embarrassed the Nazis at the Olympics.
Right.
And just as they're getting ready to attack the Plastic Men, there's more than one of them, and they're stormtroopers, and they capture them all, and
it gets really gruesome
and execute them
very badly.
Then it jumps forward to modern times, and I skipped a part. Uncle Sam is a character,
right.
And he is basically basically his power is from the belief in the American ideals. They capture him, and he pulls a Obi-Wan Kenobi and fades away. So then they jump forward to modern times, and the occupying forces are they catch some kids playing baseball, and they're gonna punish the whole block because that's an American pastime. And then the new breed of heroes comes out. There's a new Human Bomb, and Doll Girl, and that's...
I think there was a Phantom Lady too, wasn't there? There was a Phantom Lady, and there was a I don't think there was a Ray though.
No. And they and they're like, we're here to restart the resistance. We've got to go find Uncle Sam. He's not gone, because as long as people believe in America and what America stands for, he'll just get more and more powerful.
Right.
And So it's DC has tried to do this numerous times. Last year's crossover on the Arrowverse shows on the CW was fighting against the
Nazis.
The Nazis from Earth X.
I think they brought in the Ray.
Yeah. So, I like this book. It's we'll see if they have better luck. Nobody seems to have had a lot of luck keeping this going for very long. So,
What'd you think of the art?
I liked it. It was it felt like old school comic book art.
I
It
agree.
wasn't anything.
It's
I enjoy old school comic book art that looks like, where the characters everything has a black outline to it, and
it kind of almost had like an Ethan Van Sciver feel too on some of the panels. It very realistic-y, kind of like
I could tell everybody apart. There
Yeah.
was a few when the Plastic Men first came in, I was like, there was, you could see things shimmering in the background, and I'm like, what is that? And then the next panel, oh, that's what that was.
Yes,
So,
it was the Plastic Men.
oh,
Which they were kind of like, they were almost like a clone. They were
Yeah.
like kind of like all similar, and they were all...
and they all had the really bad German accents, like in every
So
American film with Nazis.
I'm the same way. I enjoyed, I like the Freedom Fighters. I've liked them in several. They had they did a reboot, a soft boot, I guess. I don't know. They kind of brought in the modern era with Danielle Cuno, did the art for it for a little while, and Phantom Girl had she was a party girl, kind of had a drug problem, and I think
and Jimmy Palmiotti,
Yeah.
and
so they did that was kind of a fun one too. I really enjoyed that one, but then that kind of just went off the rails and they just kind of lost it.
yeah.
So that's the hard part, is I'm with you, they always seem to start off really neat, and
they sketch out this big grand plan, and they can't keep the sales up long enough to.
Yeah.
So, you're 5 issues into a 12-issue book, and they cancel it, and you're like, but then what happened? And then the next person bases their book on all 12 issues, of which you got 5, and you're like, I didn't read that. And they're like, well, no one did, but I did. What do you mean you're lost?
That's great. I don't disagree. So it's yeah. So I'm with you though. I hope that they can
We dropped you off in the middle of the woods. What do you mean you can't find where you entered the woods to find your way back out?
get it together.
But I started in the woods.
That's where I was. That's where I ended. And that's exactly Welcome to the comic world. And TV. I feel like TV is that way too. All the shows that get canceled, but
at least the shows that
hoping-
get canceled don't spawn spin-offs.
That's true.
In the comic world, everything can spawn a spin-off.
That is true. You get one good character, and they try to they run that character into the ground. Hence my hatred for Wolverine and Spider-Man. Ugh, so gosh. So, but
now he can toast bread with his claws. He can slice and toast the bread at the same time.
I don't want to talk about it. So, anyways, this book I think it's really good. I enjoyed it. I like the Freedom Fighters. It's a very classic superhero book.
I wish them well.
Yes. What rating would you give it?
I give it a 3.5. It's better than a 3, but
not quite a 4.
It's not quite a 4.
I don't disagree. I would say between a 3 and 4. Unicorn Horn. It's a very classic book. It's a very classic feel. I think that may be to their detriment, unfortunately, at this day and time. But I'm hoping that... I think the other problem is also when you have an Elseworld book, is not having the power to bring in other people. Not having that feel of other...
And there's a catch-22. If you don't bring in the other people are mad at you.
Yeah.
If you do bring in the other people,
They
the
think
rest
you're
of the
resting it,
people are mad at you.
You're resting on your laurel. They just brought in Superman so they could...
Come on, yeah. So...
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it goes well. I will probably get issue 2 and see how that goes. I'll stick with it probably till it dies, like I normally do. So is my MO. All right, my last book I'm going to do Runaways number 16, which all the books this past week have come out with these Stan Lee memorial covers, which I love. I think are a great homage. They have a great little Stan Lee sketch in the center of the 3-page kind of spread where it's just solemn black. Love that. I think that's really neat.
Who did the?
They don't say.
Phil Noto.
There you go. I was like, I can see that there's a signature, but I couldn't tell you whose signature it is. So I'm glad you know. So the writer of this one is Rainbow Rowell. Awesome name. I really hope that's your real name because that's amazing. And then the artist is Chris Anka, but I have heard that she is not going to be in the book for much longer, which I'm very sad about because her art. I'll get to that art in just a minute. So the story is it's Christmas time and they are still locked into the Grib has the little monsters that were over their parents that were part of the Pride. They have come back. The children of them have come back, and they are going to make them. They are making the Runaways sacrifice. They say you're going to have to become the new Pride and sacrifice people in order to make us more powerful, or we will kill you. So that's where they're at. They're stuck in this. They're stuck in their lair. They kind of have like this one guy that they this one of the god monster creatures are kind of watching over them, keeping them under house arrest. So it's Christmas, and they're like, Chase is trying to decorate this Christmas tree, which ends up being like a hat rack where he's decorating with, I think they said raisins, or, she's like, it's raisins. And he's like, I don't have any popcorn. So he's like still trying to decorate this hat rack with raisins to be his Christmas tree. So Nico pulls out the staff of one and makes a Christmas wish, and she makes they all get gifts under the tree. There's lights and everything like that. So that's really fun. I have to say, Doombot makes this book amazing. It is freaking hysterical because the whole time the Doombot's like, they're like, well, what's our choices? How do we stop? How do we not die? Or what other choices do we have? It's like killing people. And Doom's like, I think killing people's a good idea. Like it's like every time they say this, he's like, no, well, let's kill people. I'll lead the charge. And he's like, he's very aggressive, and it's really funny. And so he comes in, and they cut to Gert and I can't even think of his name, Victor. Victor was a floating head for almost all the issues when he came back. So he finally gets a body in this issue, and Gert has decided that she's going to go back in time and try to find a way to stop the monsters, the Gribrum, however you may pronounce that, the evil monsters, trying to stop them, find a way to stop them, and that will give her 2 more years to catch up, because when they brought her back from the dead, Chase stole her out of time, but he stole her from a past, so she was younger. So all of them have all grown up and had all these adventures through the years without her, and she wants to go back in time, and then hopefully maybe she'll come back to them. So I don't know if she is gonna do it or not. Obviously I'll have to wait for the next couple issues and see what they're gonna do. But I think it's a really cool concept to see what she's gonna be like if she comes back. If she goes back in the past and then shows up again, what they will make her into.
Come back evil.
I don't know. I'm hoping she'll come back kind of badass and kind of kick everybody's, because she is kind of not the weaker character, but she is one of the ones that doesn't have her kind of. She has a time hopping thing, but it really hasn't been explored. Obviously, in the older books, she really didn't have a chance with it. She has Old Lace, but Old Lace has kind of gone to Chase a little bit more. So she really doesn't have a place quite yet, and I think that's kind of I think that's why her character is kind of interesting, because they can do a lot with her. But in this particular issue, that's what she's decided. But they still have Christmas dinner, and they try to make bygones be bygones, and so Chase tries to go in there and apologize to Alex and get him to come to dinner. So he comes to dinner, and they're discussing they're discussing what their plans are going to be. And this is the Doombot again, like, I hate to agree with, any of you, but the interloper is correct. There is some sort of demon holding you all prisoner. We should discuss this. And they're like, we don't want to discuss it. And he's like, we should discuss it. So, like, Doombot, just to say that, Doombot is just hysterical. So, yeah. So it's like, he's like, yes, we clobber them. Doom will lead the charge. So the whole book, he's like trying to kill people. So they come to a realization that they're going to have to eventually do something. But everybody gets socks at the end of the book, which I thought was really cute. All of them, everybody needs socks, and they gave Gert the keys to the van because she eventually can get her learner's permit. And then that was the end of it. So they've made their plan. We'll see what they're gonna do. If they're gonna be able to, because what their plan is they're going to try to kill the guy that's guarding them, because he's like, we have to sacrifice somebody, but they didn't say we couldn't sacrifice one of them. So he's like, so they're going to try to figure out how to battle and kill a god. And they're like, we might as well kill the one that we have here, because if we try to take all of them on, we're definitely not going to get it. But if we try to take one on, then maybe we might have a chance. So that's kind of what they're arguing about. Is like they don't want to kill the guy, but they kind of have to, because they're not given much options. So it's a really good book. If you are not reading it, I don't know what's wrong with you, because it is an enjoyable book. It's funny. It's got great humor. The characters really have like weight to them. And the last book was really good. Nico had to like kind of come to terms with her staff of one, and they deal with a lot of the issues that they've kind of brought up in the past. And the art itself is really fun and interesting and kind of youthful. So I feel like it's almost a superhero book with that, but it's not, because they don't do superhero things, but it's still kind of got powers and different kind of genres and magics and mutants and everything else under the sun. So I don't know, it's just a really good book. It's fun to read, it's fun to look at. So I'm interested to see what more they're going to do before this creative team leaves. So I would give it probably a 4 out of 5 unicorn horns, almost a 5 out of 5 if you are a fan of the Runaways. You would definitely probably give it. I
wonder, Marvel in the past is, no matter how fast time goes in the comic, the season in the comic is what the current season is. So they had some years where it's like Spider-Man was moving real slow, and at the beginning of Spider-Man's month it was Christmas, and by the end of Spider-Man's month it was 4th of July. So this one could,
that sounds about right. Yeah.
If they're planned, if each book doesn't take very much Marvel time,
that's true.
They're going from decorating the Christmas tree to
4th of July. They'll be shooting fireworks off soon.
By the end of the week.
By next issue. But it's really good. Have you read this book?
No.
Did you read the old series?
I read the initial series.
Did you like it?
First, I did. When they first discovered that their parents,
right,
when they ran away,
right.
Hence,
I feel like this harkens to that. Like a lot of the stuff that's happening is very much. Obviously, they're older, which I think is interesting because they're dealing with all their older issues. But they are definitely gone to the writing and the art seems to fit the book really well enough that it pays homage to the original series when they first found out their parents are evil, because there has been several different versions of it between then, and it's Nico was in a book where they were kind of like on Murder World, and they had the Runaways came back, and they had like a little bit of issue with that.
Yeah, there was an Avengers book where
they were in.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, and it was like some of the Runaways and some of the.
It was the
New
Murder
Warriors.
World. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yes, and so this seems very close to the old series.
Runaways.
But with dealing with them growing up, if that makes sense. It's the best way I can describe it. I've actually really I like it. It's a really good, and it's like, you know, teen angst is fun and lighthearted, but still has, like, you know, they're all like, we're still gonna die, so what are we gonna do? So it's got, they have like some dark issues they got to deal with, but they still kind of have some interesting, fun ways to deal with it. So I really like it. It's a really good book. I really enjoy it. So if you get a chance, you might want to check it out. All right. Did you read anything else besides what you got?
It's been kind of a busy week.
It always is a busy week with him.
So
it's okay, James. I'm going to ask every time, just in case, though. You never know. Because I apparently have nothing to do with my life except for to read, because I read a crap ton of stuff this week. Or actually, mostly yesterday. So, what's left on my pull list is Impossible Incorporated, which that one's kind of IDW. It's very cartoony. Like, it's got it's like time travel and space, like time and it's very wonky. It gets really a little confusing. They keep trying to explain things. Lots of reading, lots of word bubbles and boxes to explain crap. I don't know why I keep reading it. I guess it's because I think the art's fun, because it's kind of a Rick and Morty kind of feel to it, but it's okay. It's not the best though. But I still continue to read it. Let's see. I read Freedom Fighters. Quincredible is I read issue number 2. It is the what's the new Catalyst Comics. They started doing some books. They did Superb and Excel with Damian Scott. But this is one of their newer ones. But it's about this boy, this African American boy that he got powers from the meteor shower. He lives in New Orleans, and the only power he got was invincibility. But he doesn't really quite know what to do with it. So it's like kind of like the first book is kind of him establishing himself, and the second book is like, oh, maybe I can become a superhero. It's okay. I would give it probably a 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. I mean, it's probably not. I probably won't continue with it, but it's an okay book. I can see where people would enjoy it. Let's see. So I've read I've started reading a couple new series, Die, and Black Badge, which are really good, but I haven't got to the current issue, so I don't want to talk about them because I don't know currently what's going on. But I have enjoyed them. I'm trying to catch up to the current issues. But left on my pull list is going to be Justice League 14. I'm just done with this book. I don't even know what to do with it. Like, this one is actually probably the most linear book that I can understand. I kind of got what was going on, but I think it's a little too late. It's issue 12, and I don't care. They go to Hawkworld, and which I'm not quite sure how that is, but what's Kendra, one of her old personalities, Shiera, in Cartal Hall. I guess Shiera is in charge of the planet, but Shiera is one of her old personalities. So they kind of bring it up, but then it's just kind of like they let it go. And then the Martian Manhunter talks about the last Martian who has all the memories of everybody on there is on the planet. I don't know. 2 out of 5. I mean, only because it's the Justice League and I really want it to be good. Extermination number 5 was the last book in the series. The X-Men finally went back to their own time. And the art, Pepe Larraz, so beautiful. I want him to do all the books. Him and Oliver Plateau.
Finally, after 10 years of...
Yeah. So the original people finally went back.
Did they erase their memories, or they...
Yes. So they restored all their powers, and that was kind of what the whole series is about. They restored all their powers, but this kind of left... so there's a young Cable now. There is... Mimic is dead. Old Cable's dead. Rachel Gray is a Hound again. Ahab is in the world. Ahab is in their timeline. They destroyed his time ship, so he's stuck in the timeline. And Cyclops is back. That was the big reveal at the end. It's like, what? What in the what? Da, 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 da. So they're bringing him back. I'm not quite sure what that's I mean, we'll see. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Nobody ever stays dead in comic books, though. Champions Annual #1. They're getting ready to restart their books again with a #1. Don't know why. But this one was actually kind of good. I enjoyed it. I like the Champions. They're, again, a fun read. I like the characters.
Remember the good old days when they would
just kept going.
when they get a new artist and they'd start a new plot point.
They would
with
just keep
issue 97.
Yeah,
they didn't feel the need to start back over at 1.
It's
a novel concept.
I was like, when I'll look on my little app that I have for my comic books, and so I was like, it's like volume 7, issue 1, and I'm like, why are you in volume 7, issue 1? Like, you should just be on issue 29. Like, why can't you just keep going? I don't understand it either, but to start off, I'm gonna read it anyways, just because I like the Champions. They were a great group. I like the characters. They did some. This past story arc was really fun. They went to a mystic world, and they were kind of like almost like old timey, like medieval D&D characters. So it's kind of fun. That's interesting. Domino #9. Kenny hates this, which I don't know why. I think it's such a fun book. It is so funny and like it's hysterical. I know I'm not reviewing this book, but I should have because there's one part where Domino, who is an assassin, she literally goes, she's telling this girl, she's like, "We're not killers, right, guys?" And she's talking to Outlaw, who is another assassin, and Diamondback, who is a Serpent Society. And so Outlaw's like, "Well, I mean," and then Diamondback's like, "Are we talking recently with this?" And then Outback goes, "Today. Are we talking today?" "Today we're not killers." It's like, and so Gail Simone is.
What time is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like we haven't been this hour. So I think it's pretty funny. Gail Simone, I like her. I like her writing. For the most part, I enjoyed most of her series, not all of them, but I think she does pretty well with female characters. So I've enjoyed it. I think it's a fun book.
We always describe Gail Simone as a kind of like Babe Ruth. He either hit a home run or went down swinging.
That's true. I mean, but for the most part, like for the vast majority of her books, I've enjoyed.
Right.
I like.
But when she whiffs,
yeah, it's like
you feel the wind in the outfield.
That is true.
She's had a few whiffs.
Yeah, she's like, oh,
but she's had lots of out of the parks too. So.
I love Welcome to Tranquility. Birds of Prey was by far hands down best thing. She's knocking Domino out of the park. I really like.
But her run on Wonder Woman was
weird. I don't know. I feel like there was something else behind that.
There was gorillas living with her, and it went downhill from there.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't disagree with that. So this one I give 4 out of 5 unicorns. I would almost give it a 5 out of 5. But if it would be a little bit more serious, I think on a couple things I'd be really excited about it. Uncanny X-Men #6, they're still doing their weekly series. 4 out of 5. Some stuff happened in this one, which is kind of turning it into something a little bit different. I really enjoyed this story arc on Uncanny, but I love Uncanny.
Stuff happens, and things turn different.
Well, it's like, oh my god, but it's like so much, without reviewing it, I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. Like, Legion they go back to the Age of Apocalypse kind of thing. X-Man, the other Nathaniel Gray is like, battles the X-Men, stops them. The young X-Men show up. Legion tries to stop him, and Legion basically turns the world back to Age of Apocalypse. So,
as one does
when Legion shows up. West Coast Avengers. I know you keep saying it's West Coast Avengers, but it's fun. Like, I like this book. It's funny. I enjoy when a book can make fun of itself and actually still have fun. I really do wish they would have a little bit more seriousness to their book. Only because I feel like that's what's going to sustain you after a while. You can have a humorous book, but you need to have some kind of weight for people to stay on, because it can't just, and it's because funny isn't always funny, okay, you've got the Quentin choir and Quentin,
and there's so many jokes, and then you start reaching for.
Yeah.
When you're trying to be funny is usually when you're the least funny.
Right. And at the old Hawkeye with Kate Bishop, I really liked that old series because there was humor in it, and they had little callbacks, and it was fun things to do, but then it was kind of like they got in this dark realm with her and her mother and Madame Mask and all this other stuff. So I really wish they would do that with this book, would have a little bit more seriousness. Especially with issue number 6, they should be getting a little bit deeper into it. Enjoy the characters, but also have, quit bringing MODOK into it. Like, MODOK was the first 3 issues. Okay, you should let him go, but he's back. And it's just like, oh well. What can you do? I'm hoping it's sustained, but I don't foresee it sustainable, but fingers crossed.
So here's a MODOK question for you. If you go to a con and have a person do a sketch of MODOK, do they have to charge you the head sketch rates?
Or would it be full body?
Or is it full body?
I don't know. We should try that next time. James, where do you come up with this stuff? Like, is this what you sit in your house and think about? Like,
somebody else came up with that. I blatantly
stole
it.
That's awesome. If you're an artist and you charge, would you charge MODOK a full sketch, or would it be just a head sketch? I'll have to ask the next one.
Inquiring minds
yeah.
want to know.
Now I'm curious. Plus, there's some pretty good books this week. Now, next week I think is going to be a little weird too, because there's some books that are already out that aren't out, but they're out.
So they shipped some extra books this week that the retailers are supposed to hold until next week.
Yeah.
And then they're shipping the following week's books a little early.
So I think we get books next week at Friday. So I'm going to try to see if I can shoot my show on Sunday. Just depends on how quick I can read.
And the books that they held that will be released Wednesday.
Okay, yes. And then so there'll be some odd stories out of that one. So it depends on what I can get read to see what the show, we'll see what we can do. So, all right, well, until then, I hope your pull list is full, and thank you for staying with us. If you get a chance, give us a comment. Let us know if there's something that we should be reading, or if there's something that you enjoy that you think that other people would. We would love to hear if you agree with us. If you don't, tell us why. And always like, share, and subscribe if you can. We'd love to have more people talk to us. But until then, hope your pull list is full. Bye. Bye.